I will not vote for Trump, and I'm not voting for him now. I am not voting for Joe Biden and Mitt Romney and Charlie Kirk's immigration policy, which is stapling green cards to diplomas. I'm not voting for millions of legal Indian immigrants to take our high-value jobs. I'm not voting for infinity legal immigrants. I'm not voting for a war with Iran. I'm not voting for Jared Kushner to run the administration with Howard Lutnick and Peter Thiel and Rick Grinnell and the log cabin Republicans. I'm not voting for abortion. I won't do it. They took away my right to process credit cards. For a time, they took away my right to fly on an airplane. I'm banned from CPAC. I'm banned from the GOP.
I know I had some groypers that were part of my audience before that got upset when I criticized Nick, but if you can't tell that this guy is controlled op, then I don't know what to say to you. It doesn't get any more obvious than this. He's had his assets seized by the feds. He's had his assets frozen by the feds. If you don't think that that alone proves that someone is compromised, then I don't know what to tell you. You're naive. And I bet a lot of his fan base wasn't old enough to vote in 2016 and also wasn't old enough to vote in 2020 either. We literally had people waving mass deportation now signs at the RNC convention. And Nick is literally trying to get you to believe that Trump will be no different than Kamala on the issue of immigration. Because of this little green card comment, which Trump retracted quite quickly, by the way, because he is actually responsive to his base, unlike Kamala. But it doesn't stop there. Fuentes has actually gone so far as to really endorse Harris for president. That's right, you heard me. Harris has the Fuentes seal of approval.
In 2028, we're going to get Hitler. Like in 2028, if we get 4 years of Kamala, in 2028, you're going to get an American fascist. People go, you can't vote for Kamala. She's going to be a communist. It's like, and I hope she is, and I hope she does.
Yeah, I bet you would, Nick. I bet you want more people to become trans. Nick, the self-identified brat, wants more Catbois under a Harris presidency. Who can say they're surprised?
Because 4 years of that, think about it. 8 years of Obama gave us Trump. 8 years of Obama, and Obama was likable. He was arrogant. But he had his moments. There's a reason that he was able to win like he did, and he had his own very conspicuous ascendancy. So, not my cup of tea, but people do like him. You can kind of get it. He was a good politician, and it gave us Trump.
Let me bring it back to reality, Nick. A Harris victory in 2024 will mean a complete purge of Trump Republicans from the party, and the establishment forcing Nikki Haley down our throats. The donor class will not want to drift further to the right if Trump loses. This will be a complete repudiation of the populist movement. Not only will Kamala import more illegals in an attempt to make it impossible for Republicans to ever win again, and you know we already have Venezuelan gangs taking over apartment blocks in this country, but she will also clamp down on communications. Nick probably thinks he's going to actually get more viewers under a Harris presidency. That won't be the case. He will be deplatformed. X will go down. Trump will be arrested. Heads will roll. Dems will totally seize control of the means of communication under the auspice of preventing the spread of misinformation. And Nick, obviously, will be considered a misinformation spreader. And his plea bargain will be revoked anyway, despite being a demoralization asset. The last thing Nick Fuentes will hear after this from the powers that be will be the same thing he said to Trump 8 years ago.
Now, having said that, Donald Trump has served his function. His time is over. It's time for serious candidates. Let the adults talk, Donald.
Let the adults talk.
Obama didn't even have the recession. He didn't do a good job with it, but Bush had the recession. Bush had the war. Obama didn't have a major war. The economy was bad under him, but If we had 4 years of her with a recession, with 2 wars at once, and a defeat with Russia, man, someone will emerge. It's going to be unbelievable, dude. Alex Jones will be the president. After 4 years of all that, David Duke is going to be president. That's a joke, of course. So anyway, so that's kind of my feelings. On the one hand, it's like, man, I will not be able to stand it. It's going to be a disaster. On the other hand, it's like, but it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be an absolute disaster. If Trump wins, it deflates the anger. If Trump wins, people go, oh, they are counting our votes. People go, oh, the elections do matter and they are legitimate. Oh, look, Trump won. Our democracy works. He pardons himself. They turn the temperature down. He brings us to war with Iran. Half the country buys it because it's Trump.
Everything Fuentes is saying about Trump is just a pack of lies at this point. Trump will have Tulsi Gabbard as a foreign policy advisor. With a team like that, do you really think he'll go to war with Iran? And no, again, you will not get some sort of based far-right candidate in 2028 with Kamala as president. You will get more managerial tyranny. Hoping things are a disaster, also, doesn't actually show that you want to put America first. It shows that you want to crash this country into the ground to meet some ridiculous political goal. A big reason why Groyper War II failed is because Nick Fuentes had this electoralist logic originally. He convinced a lot of people that they could actually participate in the system, in politics, in a meaningful way to create change. And now he's switched over to accelerationist logic, which is not only to either not vote, but to actually vote for the wrong candidate, to accelerate destruction. This is kind of a complete mismatch with what his narrative has been in the past. And this is why there are a lot of people who even watch him who aren't going to go through with this. This is part of why Groyper War II failed. He couldn't motivate people to engage in this kind of ridiculous behavior. Healthy, well-adjusted people do not have any desire to destroy this country. Not to mention, Groyper War II was a massive grift for Fuentes to pocket hundreds of thousands of dollars from his little personality cult.
What scenario do you think is better for us? Do you think it's better if we give the keys to Kamala and it's a disaster and everyone's furious? Think about how, people aren't really angry right now. Things are bad, but people aren't angry. What if it was so bad for 4 years? 4 years of Kamala would be insane. I don't know. It'd be a gamble. It'd be a huge risk. I'm just describing the scenario. I'm not saying I think they're both bad scenarios. I don't like either option. I'm just saying. I don't know that that's a worse possibility.
He's really trying to lesser of two evils, the total destruction of the country. If you can't see what's going on here, then you must have been born yesterday. And to make this even more hilarious, Groyper War II experienced a total failure to launch. Nick's attempt to hold Trump's feet to the fire, supposedly, completely failed, completely flopped. No one was into it.
I'll take all my followers and I'll go to Michigan and we'll do things I won't disclose now. And maybe we'll prevent 10,000 people from voting that otherwise would have voted Republican. If Trump follows through, he gets Michigan. If he doesn't, I'll take it. I'll take it. And they say, you'll hand the country to Kamala. I know. And good. So that's a story about La Savita and Susie Wiles. The good news is it looks like they're on their way out, and it looks like we already won. Groyper War is not even a week old. It's going to turn 1 week old tomorrow. And it seems like we may already have our first scalps, the top senior advisors of the Trump campaign. So it's very, very exciting. And once those two are removed, we're going to keep pushing. We're going to take credit for that. It's going to be a huge victory, but there will be still so much work to be done. We're going to need other people in, and they're going to need to know that we would like to talk to them. We would like to communicate with them, and we would like to tell them what we'd like to see. So they're going to hire somebody else. I don't really care who, but they're going to hire somebody else, and that person needs to listen to the base. And if they don't, then we'll get that one fired as well. You're going to let Kamala win. You're going to give this country to a communist just because you're so selfish. If you're saying if Trump doesn't do what you want him to do, you're going to hold the campaign hostage. Shh, 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 shh. It'll all be over soon. No one's joining up. You know, no one's joining up to rally against Trump. Everybody's supporting Trump. So, you know, if there was a big appetite, if there was courage from literally any other people, I'd say, yeah, let's do it. But nobody seems to be interested. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but that's the hand we've been dealt. So I know that's a tough pill to swallow, but don't look, I didn't set the table. That's the hand we've been dealt this year. You know?
$8. Hi, Nick. Why don't you call like 1,000 grow wipers to Trump's next rally with giant signs saying no war with Iran and no green cards on diplomas and start chants and disruptions? Anything to get the message to him. Please don't yell at me. Love you.
We're past that. It's over.
Riddle sent $10.
Nick Fuentes is quite clearly a demoralization agent, and there is absolutely no way he should be let back into MAGA. But it really kind of astounds me how short some people's memories are that they'll fall for the routine that Nick is pulling here. 20,000 Haitians in a random city in Ohio? In a swing state? Come on. The Democrats are going for the jugular here. There won't be a second chance if they win. They're going, you know, they're going to find some new voters. So any faction of right-wing populism does not have a shot in the future. That alone should secure your vote for Trump. This gaffe, which Nick has decided to harp on, is not Trump adopting Joe Biden's immigration policy, and you are a naive child if you believe that that's what's going on here. And also, dude, you really think that Kamala wouldn't be pro-war with Iran? That she is somehow less hawkish than Trump would be? Trump's whole shtick is peace through strength, through making these bombastic threats that get people to go back in their place, that get these other countries to straighten up, calm things down. Geopolitically speaking, the world was very stable and orderly while Trump was president, and you just cannot say the same about the Biden presidency. We literally have the deep state directly running this country.
It's so by your side. You got it took too long.
And now here's the other thing. Do you really think the American economy will be better under a Kamala presidency? Even if we assume that Trump is for unlimited Indian immigration instead of Central American immigration, do you really think the American economy will be better under a Kamala presidency than a Trump presidency? All of these other ridiculous things being held equal. Do you think she'll run the economy better? Or do you think she'll run it straight into the ground, like it has been for the past 4 years? The polls for this election are all over the place, and it really could go either way, given the amount of people that have been imported into this country in the past couple of years. So abstaining from voting won't do anything or prove anything to anybody. And this is how you know that your average groyper is probably a child that's either at college or still lives with his parents or perhaps in need. Because he doesn't think about these things. He doesn't think about the price of food, or the price of gas, or the price of his rent, his housing, because he doesn't have these things. He's probably a NEET that lives with his parents, like Nick is. Or some layabout college student who feels like he has infinite time to entertain ridiculous ideas. That's probably the core of Nick Fuentes' core viewers at this point. But to really get a sense of what that means and how out of touch he is, let's take a look at some other things he's said.
The former president complained that bacon costs 4 or 5 times as much as it did a few years ago. I don't order bacon anymore. It's gotten too expensive, said Trump. Okay, this is how you get the energy. This is the initiative. This is how we get the energy back. We're going to give a speech about the price of bacon. I know what's going to get the kids excited. Talking about how grocery prices are up.
Bro, he goes on longer, but I got to break in here. I know someone who is not old enough to vote yet, who is concerned about the price of food. Like, this is a real thing to average Americans. In fact, I was talking with him about it earlier today. This is a real thing that people are concerned about. And it shows you how completely out of touch Nick Fuentes actually is to even say something like this.
I know what's going to get young people to vote. Talking about the price of milk. I know what's going to get voters excited. Saying that we're going to bring down the cost of Gatorade and cereal. Yeah, that's really thrilling stuff. Wow, this is really good stuff. Do you got any more charts? Can we see some charts and tables comparing percentage increases of the consumer price index? Can we see that? That would really jack me up right now. That would really get me fired up, man. When I see that bacon is 30% more expensive today than it was in 2021, it makes me want to run through a wall. Whoa, bros. I'm in the group chat. Bros, are you guys watching this? Trump is calling Kamala and saying she's going to institute price controls. This is bullshit. Bacon's going to get even more expensive. We got to go out and vote. Let's go and vote early. Let's pick up some Zyn, let's pick up some beer, and then let's go early vote, or else the price of bacon's going to go it's going to go 10% higher. This is BS. Come on, guys, let's go. This is their playbook. The article goes on. It says, Trump isn't just getting gouged on bacon. He has claimed grocery prices are up 70%. When they're really only up 21% nationally since January 2021. He last week said that gasoline was $5 a gallon and rising when the average national price was $3.46 and falling. $3.46 and falling, you son of a bitch. Man, you know this country is going down the tubes when gas prices are $3.46. Really?
Now, Ryan Falk, the alternative hypothesis, had to chime in on this issue, and he had this to say. Wow, just wow, I can't even. Yes, Nick, the price of food is something really important to most people. Trump, a billionaire, understands this. You, a millionaire, do not. How did this guy ever get a following? I want to come up with something unique, but the same word keeps popping in my head. Nasty. He really is. He really is working against his own people here. Nick is nasty. There's not a better word for it. You don't need to be inventive. You don't need to be original. This is just what he is. He is nasty. He's a nasty person. He's a dysgenic person. He is a negative influence on society for promoting this stuff. We're not going to get a second shot, as I said before, with this election. 20,000 Haitians in Ohio. Dems are playing for keeps. They think this is the final round. That's why they're trying so hard against an objectively unlikable candidate. Because it's super delegitimizing. It proves to the American people that they still have some form of political autonomy if they can get Trump elected. And Democrats, the deep state, what have you, can't have people believing that. Can't have people understanding that. They need you to feel disempowered. And Nick Fuentes, unfortunately, is an agent of that disempowerment. I used to like this guy. I still think he's funny on occasion. I still think his streams can be nice. But ultimately, his assets are frozen, he's compromised, and he's clearly on the wrong side of this issue. And Nick Fuentes has been making noises in this direction for months now. Anyone with a brain can see it. Anyone who's not totally caught up in their parasocial relationship with him can see what he's doing and why it's ridiculous.
Honestly, I don't even want Trump to win anymore. I don't care how based he sounds on immigration. I know he's got aura. I know he's funny. That's not because I don't like him. But I really do believe, with zero irony and zero exaggeration, that he is actually a grave threat to the country. And I'm not saying that because I'm a resistance liberal. I'm not saying that because I'm a leftist. I'm not. I'm as right-wing as it gets. But at this point in time, when you look at America's role in the world in this very dangerous neighborhood, our country is being destroyed from the inside by this international cabal.
And then you'll see the desperate cope because I guess they just let anyone make community notes. This isn't actually an endorsement of Kamala. He didn't actually endorse Kamala here. You're a child and you do not know how to identify a real psyop. But I mean, people who are on this Nick Fuentes wavelength will be waiting forever for their magical candidate who agrees with them on every issue and somehow is electorally viable. I mean, you can only really take this guy seriously if you've been so purity spiraled that you now don't understand how the average person thinks. Some problems, some defects in American government can't be removed in a single presidency. And if you don't understand that, you are a naive child. You have an IQ under 120. Just going to say it right now. Right? If you don't understand that, then you aren't actually smart. And Nick Fuentes is supposed to be the big, bad, dissident right reformist here. He still believes in electoral politics to a degree, ostensibly. He's not a revolutionary. He's not advocating you unplug and go and do stupid things that will land you in the slammer. But then somehow, for some reason, he's telling you not to vote in this election. It's because he wants to lose. He's compromised, and he wants to lose. This makes no sense from a reformist perspective. If you believe that the American people can collectively come together and positively influence politics, then it makes absolutely no sense for you not to vote for Donald Trump in this election. They've literally tried to kill him twice already. I'm waiting for news of a third attempt. And there are really people who are dumb enough to be taken in by Nick's arguments because they're so lacking in spine, in character, that they'll believe anything he says, uncritically. It's a real shame. It's a real shame what this culture has devolved into. As a dear friend of mine loves to say, Nick Fuentes has no message, no vision, and no future. And if you go along with him and his program, you're headed nowhere. 2 assassination attempts. And some people still don't understand how power works in this country. They should be ashamed of themselves. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a like. Leave a comment with your thoughts. Maybe you hated it. I'd love to hear why. Sincerely. And share it, because that is the #1 way you can help me grow this channel. And red channels will catch you in the next one.